I am just going to go ahead and start with today's lesson. Yeah. Okay. So today's lesson is actually based on lesson number 41. All right. Okay. So what's happening? Okay. Now we're actually preparing for prelims as well, or rather it is called PSLE revision paper. Okay. So we're going to do two papers. From the results of those who did, only 3 of you who did the paper, some of you actually got the, okay, let me see, so question number 1, 2, 3 is okay. So I'm just gonna run through it very quickly, or rather 1, 2, 3, you're okay. So hang on, there's some students coming in. Okay. All right, so let's look at question number 1. Basically, question number 1 is conversion of cm to meters. That means from cm to convert into meters is actually divided by 100. Okay, so if I have 2090 cm, to convert it to meters will be to divide this by 100. That means move 2 decimal places to give me 2090. 20, sorry, it is C. Okay, hang on. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, then, so this is option C. For question number 2, basically, because they all give us in percentage, so the answer will be in percentage. Total is 100%. So what percentage of the adults chose orange? So you want this. So that's 100%. Take away everything else. 30% minus 15%. Okay, hang on. Minus 15% to give me 40%, which is C. Okay, so there you have it. All right. Just close this. Okay, so it's a smaller class today, huh? Okay, all right, now, so from here, okay, so number 3 is your 8-point compass. Okay, so for those of you who didn't try, you can just have a look at the question. So we have A, B, C that forms 3 towns on a map. A is north of B, and angle ABC is 45. In which direction is C from B? So can you see this is the north? So A is north of B. So then if I were to draw a line across like this, and then put in my direction, okay, so it will be yes, Jinpo, correct. You have your answer is correct. All right, so Jinpo got it. So it is north. Okay. Northwest. No, wait, hang on. Jinpo, sorry. Oh, sorry, Jeremy. Okay, Jeremy, you didn't get it. You see, this is north, right? This is your north. This is your east. This is where it is. Yes, that's right. So the answer is A. Okay, so for question number 4, it is an algebra question. Okay. Now, in this question, what we have here is the algebra 3A. 3A is the same as 3 times A. 4. Elliot, try again. Yashika, try again. Okay, so 3 times A, and I know that A is 4. That means it is the same as 3 times 4, which is 12. So if I take this, 20 plus 12 over 2. Sorry. 12 over 2. What do I have? So this is the same as 20 plus how many? 12 over 2 is 6. 12 over 2 is 6 to give me 26. Yes, Elliot, that's right. 26, which is B. Okay, so you're going to be careful with this part here. It means this. It means 3 times A divided by 2. All right? So that's what you have for question number 4. Now, for question 5. Now, bear in mind that for question number 5, this is an MCQ question. So you do not have a calculator, right? So if you don't have a calculator, how will you solve this question? Okay, this is how we do it. Draw a number line and mark your 1. Everything else is either more than 1 or less than 1, right? So 4 over 5 is how much? 1 over 5 away from 1. Whereas 5 over 4 is 1 over 4 away from 1. Okay, now with this comparison, it's always easier to compare when you have a similar numerator but a different denominator. The bigger the denominator, the smaller is the fraction. So in this case, between 1 over 5 and 1 over 4, which one is smaller? 1 over 5 is smaller than 1 over 4. Okay, now between 6 over 7, okay, so that means if I were to write down 6 over 7 here, the difference between 6 over 7 is 1 over 7 and 1 over 6 for 7 over 6. So so you have all this to compare with. 1 over 5, 1 over 4, 1 over 7, and 1 over 6. Which is the smallest? The smallest is actually the smallest gap that you want to find. This is the smallest gap, which is closest to 1. So the number that's closest to 1 is C. Okay, so that's how you do it. Okay, so because you don't have a calculator, so this is the easiest way to make that comparison. Okay, all right. Question number 6. Question number 6, it says here, it is a repeated pattern formed using the numbers 1 and 0. The first 18 numbers are shown. Find the sum of the first 80 numbers. Okay, now, before I do anything from here, the first step is to identify the group or set. Okay, so identify the group or set that make up the pattern. So the next step is to find the sum of, okay, so the next part is to find the sum of each set, of each group or set. Okay, so now we know that each set is made up of these numbers 1 0 1 0 1 1 1 0 1 0 1 1. So the sum is sum of each set would be how many ones? 1 2 3 4. 1 2 oops 1 2 3 4. Okay, so now then the next step is to find number of sets. Okay, so in the first 80 numbers, number of sets of How many numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of 6 numbers. 80 divided by 6 to give me how much? To give me 13, remainder 2. Okay, 13 remainder 2. So that means there are 13. This means 13 groups of 13 groups of how many numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 13 groups of 6 numbers, whereby the sum is 4. Okay, whereby the sum is 4. Okay, now, hang on. Okay. All right. So there are 13 groups plus there's an extra 2 here. What do I do? The extra 2 is similar to this. So which means that the sum of first 80 numbers will be, now there's 13 groups of 4 plus 1 to give me 53, which is D. Thank you, Elliot. That's right. You're right, Elliot. Okay, all right. Now take a look at the next question, number 7. Okay, so all these without the calculator, okay? Now, Michelle bought some plain and some cake flour. Some plain flour and some cake flour. So she used an equal amount of plain flour and cake flour. So she used plain flour and cake flour used same amount. So since she used the same amount, she had 3 out of 4 of the plain flour and 3 out of 8 of the cake flour left. So that means if at first it makes up 1 whole, what was used? 1/4 and 5/8. Okay, now, so you can see from here that question says she used equal amount of flour. What she used was equal. So simply, this means that 1 out of 4 of the plain flour is equals to 5 out of 8 of the cake flour. Now, make the numerators the same. We will get 5/20 of the plain flour is equals to 5/8 of the cake flour. So, from here, what do we have? We know that based on this, they use the same amount of flour, right? So they use 5 units and 5 units. What's in the end? 15 and 3. So this will be your 20 units and 8 units. So question, what fraction of the flour did Michelle, of the flour which Michelle bought was used? What fraction was used? So we have 5 plus 5, which is 10 out of a total of 28. So where do I get my 28 from? I got my 28 from here. 20 and 8. Where do I get used? What was used? Here in the end. Sorry. What was used is here, which is 10 units. So if I were to simplify this, I will get 5/14. The answer is B. Okay? Questions, anyone? Okay, so we're done with the MCQ. Now we're looking at the booklet B, or the short answer questions. So with this, again, still no calculator, right? So you got to make sure that when you're doing purely addition